Hey y'all, it's Renee from Creations by Red CB, and today I'm opening my March 2026 Double Delica box from Beads of the Month Club. I haven't looked inside yet, so we're going in together. I'm excited to see what color story they sent us this month. Alright, now let's talk about this purple mailer for a second. This makes me happy every single month. Not just because I know that there are beads in here, although that definitely helps, but because purple is my absolute favorite color. When this shows up in my mailbox, it's already a good day. Okay, so let's get into this bubble wrap, which of course is purple with purple heart bubbles also. I just love the way Beads of the Month Club really likes the color purple. Okay, I'm going to peel this back slowly and take a look at the colorway. Okay, so the first thing staring back at me is the colorway name. This month is called Purple Pansies. And look at this lettering, guys. It's a gradient, green to purple to green again. That's already telling me something. And look, down here on the bottom, I can already see some of the greens peeking out. Okay, so they're not being subtle. We're definitely getting a purple and green moment this month. I love it when the name and the little hints around the edges give you a preview before the full reveal. It's like the palette is whispering before it starts talking. Alright, let's turn this over and actually look at the colors. Okay, so I see what they're aiming for. We have 3 greens and 3 purples, although that purple looks a little bit questionable to me. And then 2 yellows. That makes sense now. Alright. So instead of going down the line, let's just pour this baggie of beads out and see how they land. Doing things this way sometimes helps me come up with some of my more off-the-wall designs. Okay, well, would you look at that? We've got the 2 silk satins sitting here together. Of course they did. And one of the greens has leaned itself right up against the yellow silk satin like it's trying to soak up some of that sunshine. There's a transparent green off by itself, doing its own thing. That tracks. Those transparent greens always act like the stem or the breath of the palette. They don't mingle unless you make them. And here's that questionable purple, lying right between the 2 piles like it can't decide which group it belongs to. It's giving me, I'm here, but don't label me yet. And then over here, the other yellow and the other purple landed together, and the final green is lying across them like it's trying to connect the 2. This whole landing pattern is wild. It's like the palette arranged itself into little conversations the moment it hit the mat. So before I even open a single container, I'm already seeing relationships, tension, softness, and a couple of beads that clearly have opinions about who they want to sit next to. Okay. Trying to get it to where you can actually see the list today. Okay. So let's see what this green is doing. The one that wants to be with the silk satin so bad. It has planted itself right up against them like it's trying to join their little club. The silk satins are over here acting all soft and elegant. And this green is like, hi, I belong in this conversation too. Just from the way it landed, it's giving me supportive character energy. Like it wants to highlight the silk satins, not compete with them. It's leaning in, literally, like it's trying to catch some of that satin glow and reflect it back. So let me pick this one up first and see what it's doing, because any bead that throws itself into the silk satin pile on purpose has something to say. Okay, so this green is DB916, which is a sparkle green lined chartreuse. Wow, I was not expecting a chartreuse. Well, this explains why it threw itself into the silk satin pile. Chartreuse always wants attention. It's bright, it's cheeky, it's high energy, and it loves to lean on softer colors so that it can show off. And this one isn't even a quiet chartreuse. It's sparkle green lined. So it's got that little flash inside it, like it's winking at the silk satins. Can you see that flash? No wonder it planted itself right next to them. It wants to be the highlight, the pop, the little burst of mischief in the palette. Already this palette is telling me it's not going to be a soft botanical pansy moment. This is going to have some spark to it. And the fact that chartreuse showed up in the purple pansies palette, yeah, they're aiming for something a little more playful than literal. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this purple silk satin. Now, silk satins can be hard to use. You have to be cautious with them because if you're not paying attention, they can cut your thread, just like bicones or fire polished crystals or even bugle beads can. Now, they're beautiful, this soft glow, that almost velvety finish, but they do come with rules. You can't just throw them anywhere in your design and hope for the best. You place these with intention, reinforce your thread pass, and make sure they're not rubbing against anything sharp or pulling tension in the wrong direction. Anytime I see a silk satin in a palette, I automatically slow down. Not in a bad way. More like, okay, I see you. I respect you. Now let me think about where you belong. This is DB, okay, 1810. And it is dyed purple silk satin. And look at that. This color is discontinued. I'm going to have to use these sparingly in all the right places, but with intention. Anytime a discontinued silk satin shows up, it changes the whole energy of the palette. It's not just a bead anymore. It's a resource. It's something you can't replace once it's gone. And with silk satins already being just a little bit temperamental with the thread cutting if you're not careful, this is going to be an interesting addition to the palette. This isn't going everywhere. It's going exactly where it needs to go. Little shadow flickers, soft accents, places where it can glow without rubbing against anything sharp or pulling tension. It's a bead you treat with respect. Next is the yellow silk satin. And this is DB823. And that is a lemon ice silk satin. And would you look at that? It's discontinued also. Okay. It's surprising to see 2 discontinued beads in a collection, but I have to say this is obviously done with intent. I imagine that Adornable Elements curated this collection carefully and chose this exact palette to put the last of these silk satins into. They don't just toss 2 discontinued colors in at random. If they are using the final stock of not 1 but 2 silk satins, it means that they wanted these specific shades. This purple and this yellow. To be part of the story. And honestly, That makes sense. These two silk satins together have a softness and a glow that you can't fake. They're delicate, they're temperamental, and they're rare now, but they bring a kind of quiet luxury to a palette that regular finishes just don't. Now, if you were going to use these beads to make the traditional pansy, the purple and yellow silk satins definitely do quite a bit of the heavy lifting. Those two colors, that soft velvety purple and that glowing lemon color, are exactly what gives a pansy its little smiling face. The petals, the center, the expression. Those are all carried by these two shades. And because they're silk satins, they bring that velvety sheen that mimics the real flower almost too perfectly. But with both of them being discontinued, that changes the whole equation. I won't be sprinkling them everywhere. I have to use them with intention, place them where they matter the most, and let the rest of the palette support them. So yes, if you were going literal, these two would be doing the emotional and visual heavy lifting. But you know me, I may or may not go literal. These might end up as accents in something completely different. Okay, so let's take a look at this questionable purple next, since it seems to be trying to blend into both piles of beads. It landed right in the middle like it's auditioning for dual citizenship. Half purple family, half green-yellow neighborhood. It's giving me that I can be whatever you need me to be energy, which usually means it's either a chameleon color or one of those beads that looks purple in the tube but behaves totally differently once it's stitched. So let me pick up this one and see what it actually is, because any bead that tries this hard to belong to every group at once usually has a story behind it. This is DB 1710. Copper pearl lined. Copper pearl lined what? Interesting. No finish name after it, no color descriptor, just copper pearl lined. And honestly, that explains why this bead has been acting shady since it hit the mat. It's sitting between the purples and the greens like it's trying to keep its options open. When a bead is a copper pearl lined, the lining can shift the whole personality. Sometimes it warms up a cool color, sometimes it mutes a bright one, and sometimes, like this, it makes the bead look like it belongs to a color family it technically isn't a part of. So now I'm even more convinced that this bead is a chameleon. It's not purple, it's not green, it's not yellow. It's whatever the beads around it decide it should be. And that makes it one of the most interesting beads of the palette this time around. Oh, okay. Sorry about that, guys. I got a little bit distracted. My daughter Dana Jean, who is my mini-me, just sent me a message. She looked it up, and it is actually copper pearl lined olive. Not just copper pearl lined, copper pearl lined olive. Well, that explains a whole lot. No wonder this bead has been acting like it wants to belong to both groups. Olive can lean purple, it can lean green, it can lean neutral. It just depends on who it's sitting next to. So this little troublemaker wasn't confused after all. It knew exactly what it was doing. See, you can see some of the green in there. Interesting. And just to let y'all know, my daughter is starting her own channel soon too. She's little hippie mama. So if you hear me mention her or see her pop in with bead intel like this, that's why. She's got the same creative brain I do, just in her own earthy, herbal, hippie way. Next, let's look at this green that's being all aloof, sitting away from all the other beads. Is it just a loner? Has it been picked on? Or did it just not have a specific place it wanted to land? Some beads do this. They fall off to the side like they're above the drama. They're not trying to join a group. They're not trying to make a statement. They're just observing. And sometimes that means that they're the grounding bead, the one that brings balance once everything else starts getting loud. So let me pick this one up and see what its deal is, because any bead that chooses to sit by itself usually has a very particular personality. Okay, this is DB705, which is transparent green. All right, this color I do have to be careful with where I place it because it is transparent. I want it to be seen, but at the same time, I must stop and think. Am I going to use a lot of this transparent color, which affects my choice of thread color? Or is it going to be sprinkled through the piece randomly? Transparent beads are funny. They can either glow beautifully or disappear completely, depending on what thread you use and what beads they sit next to. So if I stitch a whole section with them, I must commit to a thread color that supports that transparency. But if I'm just dropping them in here and there as little flickers of light, then I can get away with the more neutral thread and let them act like tiny breaths in the design. So this one is going to require some thought. It's not a bead you just toss in without considering the ripple effect. But when you place it right, it adds that little bit of clarity and lift that nothing else can do. Okay, next let's take a look at this green that's trying to act like a bridge between the other yellow and the purple beads. This is DB274, lined pea green luster. Now this color looks like any other green until you take a moment to really look at it. It's a pea green color on the inside, but the outer portion is close to the same shade of green as the transparent green. That luster finish has it doing this interesting double identity thing. Warm on the inside, cool on the outside. And that's why it landed across the yellow and the purple. The pea green lining lets it lean towards the warmth of the yellow, but the outer green glass lets it echo the cooler greens. It's literally built to be a transition bead. This is one of those colors that doesn't shout. It just quietly connects things. It softens jumps. It blends edges. It creates movement without drawing attention to itself. And the fact that it threw itself across the yellow and purple when it landed, yeah, it knew exactly what role it wanted to play. Well, now I have to choose which bead to look at next, the yellow or the purple. And I think I'm going to go with the yellow, because y'all know purple is sacred and special for me. Purple gets its own moment. Purple gets treated with respect. Purple gets the spotlight. So we're going to let that purple bead sit there just a few minutes more and feel important while I look at this yellow. Okay. DB 53. Wow. that is early in the Delica lineup. Let's see what else I can find out about this light yellow lined crystal AB. Well, I knew it, guys. I just knew we couldn't get through a whole collection like this without an AB finish. An AB finish just makes things shimmer and sparkle. This one is such a classic AB bead. This soft yellow lining gives it warmth, and the crystal exterior lets the AB finish dance around it. It doesn't scream. It doesn't overwhelm. It just adds that little halo of light that makes everything around it feel more alive. And because it is DB53, one of the old school Delicas, it has that vintage feel to it. The kind of bead that has been around long enough to show up in all kinds of designs, but still manages to feel fresh when you pair it with the right colors. This is the kind of yellow that can brighten a palette without taking over. It's gentle, but it still has presence. And with that AB shimmer, yeah, this one is going to be a little starburst wherever I put it. Okay, last but certainly not least, let's take a look at this final color in the collection, the last purple color. Drumroll, please. 2322. DB 2322. And that is Frost Rainbow Grape. Well, no wonder the pea green bead was trying to build a bridge between the last two colors. DB53 and DB2322 couldn't be much further apart. This Frost Rainbow Grape is such a soft, airy, cool purple, almost like the outer petal of a pansy when the color fades into the light. It's frosted, so it diffuses the color, and the rainbow finish gives it that little shimmer that makes it feel alive. And when put next to the light yellow lined crystal AB, yeah, these two are speaking completely different languages. One is warm, bright, and sparkly. The other is cool, soft, and ethereal. So of course DB274 had to throw itself across them like, hold on, I can make this work. This purple is the breath of the palette, the soft edge, the glow, the part that opens everything up. It's not the deep pansy center purple, it's the airy outer petal that catches the light. This purple also definitely is a rainbow without the AB finish. When I look at it, I can see blues, grays, lavenders, purples, mauves. And did I just happen to see a little touch of green in there also? Well, it's just got a whole range of colors. That's the magic of a frost rainbow finish. It doesn't sparkle like AB. It glows. It softens the surface so the light doesn't bounce off. It sinks in, and when the light sinks in, it pulls up every undertone hiding inside the bead. That's why I'm seeing all these different shades. It's not just purple. It's a whole mood. This is the kind of bead that shifts depending on who it's sitting next to. Put it by the yellow, and it looks cooler. Put it by the olive, and it warms up. Put it by the silk satin purple, and suddenly it looks almost smoky. It's a shapeshifter, but in a soft, elegant way. And honestly, this bead is doing the emotional work in the palette. It's the one that ties the whole thing together, without ever raising its voice. Well, y'all, I had already decided I was going to try to stick to Danielle Wick's example of designing at least one item using all the colors in the collection and only those colors. That's the challenge, that's the discipline, and honestly, that's where the magic happens. When you limit yourself to the exact 8 colors you're given, you start seeing relationships you wouldn't have noticed otherwise. You start discovering which beads want to sit together, which ones want to contrast, which ones want to whisper, and which ones want to shout. And this particular palette, it's not a quiet one. It's got silk satins, discontinued colors, AB finishes, frosted rainbows, lined olives, and transparents. It's a whole cast of characters. Sticking to only these 8 is going to push me, but in the best way. Danielle Wick's discipline is about honoring the palette as it is, not adding, not subtracting, not rescuing yourself with a comfort color, just letting the beads tell you what they want to become. Now look, I am that grandma with the purple and pink hair who, now that she's reached the age of 60, does not care about doing things the typical way or the way people might expect. Hush, Dana Jean. No comments from the peanut gallery. Kids, even when they get older, they can still be mouthy. Imagine her telling me I never did things the typical way, as if that's news to anybody. So yes, I'm doing Danielle's challenge, using all the colors in the collection and only those colors, because I love the discipline and the creativity it brings out. But let me tell you right now, this is not going to be a pretty little pansy that some folks are thinking about making. Not that I don't love pansies, I do. But I've never been one to do the obvious. I like doing the unexpected in my designs. I like to surprise myself. And at 60, with purple and pink hair, I'm not about to start being predictable now. Okay, so how am I going to work with this palette and make something unexpected, but also try to create a moment and a nod even to that smiling pansy? So here's where I'm going to start. I'm taking the copper pearl lined olive, and I'm putting it right toward the center of the bracelet in an orb shape. Not dead center, because y'all know I don't do perfect symmetry unless the beads demand it. This orb is going to just sit a little off to the side like it's thinking its own thoughts. Okay, and then I'm going to use the Frost Rainbow Grape Purple to expand that orb outward. That purple has so many hidden colors in it. Blues, grays, mauves, lavenders. It's practically a whole weather system in one bead. Letting it radiate out from the olive orb is going to create this soft, glowing, unexpected moment. This is my nod to the pansy. Not a literal flower, not petals, not a face, but that feeling of a pansy smiling from the center. The olive bead is the warm little heart, and the rainbow grape is the soft outer glow. It's the pansy's spirit, not its shape. Now let's add another layer around that orb. This time in green, the pea green bead. This one is the bridge builder, the soft connector, so it's going to wrap around the purple and olive center like a little ring of motion. Then I'm going to drop a few of the purple silk satin beads into the copper olive section and scatter some around the frost rainbow grape. Those silk satins are like little shadows. They deepen everything they touch. And while I'm at it, I'm going to sprinkle some of that transparent green into the ring of pea green, just to give it some breath and light. Now comes the yellow. And let me tell you, it's not going to calmly wind around the outside of the orb. No, ma'am. This yellow is exploding out with long shards, rays, streaks, like the orb just cracked open and light shot out in every direction. This is where the pansy gets its nod. Not in petals, not in shape, but in that moment where the warm center suddenly lifts and smiles. The yellow isn't outlining anything. It's bursting, it's laughing, it's alive. I think I'm going to sprinkle some of the lemon ice silk satins in among the yellow. Just a few more of them than I've used in the purple silk satins so far. The lemon ice is discontinued, so I'm not going to waste them, but I am going to let them shine. These little lemon ice beads are like tiny sparks. They don't just sit there, they glow. They catch the light in a way the AB yellow can't, because the silk satin finish has that soft internal shimmer. So when I drop them into the yellow explosion, they're going to make those rays look like they're lit from the inside. This is where the whole piece starts to feel alive. The copper olive is the heart, the rainbow grape is the breath, the pea green is the bridge, and now the yellow with the lemon ice mixed in becomes the laughter, the burst, the moment the pansy smiles. I still have one more color to deal with, because I haven't done anything yet with the chartreuse. Oh, I know. Let's have it seem to seep out from behind the yellow explosion. Chartreuse is sneaky like that. It doesn't burst, it doesn't shout, it doesn't demand attention. It just quietly glows from underneath. So instead of putting it on top of the yellow or around it, I'm going to let it peek out from behind those long yellow shards, like the light hit the orb so hard that the chartreuse started leaking through the cracks. This is the early spring green, the one that shows up when the leaves are ready, before the leaves are ready, before the grass wakes up, and before anything else has the nerve to grow. It's the color that says, something is happening here. So letting it seep out from behind the yellow makes the whole explosion feel alive, like the orb is pushing out new energy. It's not a ring. It's not a border. It's a glow, a whisper, a little hint of movement behind the brightness. Okay, these yellow shards and rays that are extending out from the orb are going crazy. There are long curving sections that almost look like the curves in a peacock feather, just wild sweeping motions. But there's also this whole section they seem to leave out of the explosion. Like the yellow said, no, not going there. So the chartreuse is filling in the areas between the rays, glowing, seeping, slipping into all the little spaces, except for that one place. And that one place is where the copper olive is going to come back in, interspersed with some of the purple silk satins. It's like the explosion hit a wall, and the copper stepped in to calm everything down. There will also be copper olive beads finishing out the bracelet, smoothing the edges of all that chaos, with a few purple silk satins dropped in every once in a while, just to keep things interesting. The copper is the grounding. The purple is the shadow, the breath. And just for fun, because why not? I'm going to put one lone transparent green in the initial olive orb. Just a tiny little secret, a wink, a hidden spark that only shows itself when the light hits just right. Okay, y'all, let me tell you, my daughter is awesome. She sat there and followed my directions and came up with a sketch of what this bracelet may look like. And guess what, y'all? The orb is an eye. And there is even a huge smile there. I about fell out of my chair when I saw it. I wasn't even trying to make a face. I was just following the colors and the movement. But apparently this bracelet said, "Oh, we're going to smile today." I'm going to have so much fun putting this sketch into my bead program, but you don't get to see it today. Nope, that will have to wait for an upcoming video on the Swirl of Laughing Light bracelet. And trust me, it is laughing. Okay, y'all, I think it's time to wrap this up. Now listen, I also have an unboxing of the double 2-hole beads this month because that's what my rotating club sent me. And let me tell you right now, I will absolutely not be trying to use one of each of those beads in one design. That would be a bit much, even for me. But this palette, this Swirl of Laughing Light, this one has taken on a life of its own. We've got an orb, we've got an eye, we've got a smile, we've got yellow shards flying everywhere, and the chartreuse sneaking out from behind like it's got secrets. And thanks to my daughter sketching it out, I can already see exactly where this is going. I cannot wait to get this into my bead program and start bringing it to life. But y'all don't get to see that today. That reveal is coming in an upcoming video on the Swirl of Laughing Light bracelet. So stay tuned because this one is going to be fun. All right, y'all. That really is it for today. Now don't forget, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell so you'll be notified when my next videos come out. I've got my When Oceans Collide tapestry in the works. I've got this Swirl of Laughing Light bracelet that you're going to get to watch come together. Plus I have my double 2-hole beads unboxing coming up from my rotating club. And hey, if you're not already a Beads of the Month subscriber and you'd like to try it, I do have a discount code for you. It's RedCB10, and you'll get 10% off your first month's club. It's a nice little treat if you've been thinking about joining in on the fun. All right, y'all. I'll see you next time.